The verse we're looking at this week is Galatians 6, 7-10. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, that will he also reap. Let us not grow weary, and while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. Sowing and reaping. Galatians 6, 7 uses a well-known law of plant science, that a given seed can reproduce only its own kind. God's law does not change. If we planted lettuce seeds, we'd be shocked if we got potatoes. It's not going to happen. If we act lovingly towards others, we'll have better relationships. If we exercise and eat right, we will have better health. Sorry for the bad news. Exercise and eat right, you have better health. Sowing and reaping. If we overspend, we end up in debt. The law of sowing and reaping teaches us to live responsibly, because if we sow irresponsibly, we will reap painful consequences. Fleming was a poor Scottish farmer, and he heard a cry for help, and he found waist deep in black muck a terrified boy struggling to free himself. So Fleming saved the boy from dying. The next day, a carriage pulled up to the Scotsman's place, and a nobleman stepped out. He was the father of the boy that Fleming had saved. The nobleman said, I want to repay you. Fleming said, no, I can't accept payment. That moment, Fleming's son came to the door, and the nobleman said to him, is this your son? He said, yes. He said, let me take him, give him an education. Well, he did. Fleming's son, graduated at St. Mary's Hospital Medical School. He became Sir Alexander Fleming, who discovered penicillin. Years later, the nobleman's son got pneumonia. What saved him? Penicillin. The name of the nobleman was Lord Randolph Churchill. His son's name, Sir Winston Churchill. Fleming sowed a rescue and reaped an education that invented penicillin. Churchill sowed an education for another man's son, and his own son's life was saved. Therein is the principles of sowing and reaping. Verse 7 says, do not be deceived. There's a tendency to think sowing and reaping doesn't always happen. The verse says God is not mocked. There's a thought here of someone saying, get real. You don't really believe this nonsense of sowing and reaping. To willfully sin, thinking somehow there'll be no consequence, is to mock God's call to holiness. There is forgiveness for sure, but also consequences. Never envy sinners, because eventually they will reap. God's law cannot be broken. Whatever a man sows, whatever means any seed we sow. So, question. What do you want your life to look like next year? In 2 years? 5, 10, 20 years? What do you want to reap? Write it down. Then start sowing the right seeds. To reap love, start sowing. You want to reap, start sowing love. You want to reap friends, sow being friendly. You want to reap success, sow diligence and hard work. You want to be honored and respected, sow honor and respect for others. If you sow lust and criticism, you will reap the same. You cannot sow strife and reap peace. So it's a good question to sit down and ask yourself, take a few moments, what do you want to reap the coming months, the coming years? Then sow the appropriate seed, and you will reap according to what you sow.